A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today, I will not start with the snippets on the front page. I will start with the editorial. You may ask, sir, why? Today's editorial is all about COP30 or COP30 related to environment. And based on the papers we have got recently, mains papers, English section, I decided to change the approach. Today I'm going to present the editorial analysis differently. There are about 12 sentences. I'm going to present each sentence, talk about what exactly the writer wants to convey based on that particular sentence. I will also touch grammar aspect and, as usual, vocab. I would like to see how much time it takes. I'm not quite sure. It may take more time. So I'm skipping the front page, the snippets, the headlines. We'll go directly to the editorial analysis. You can easily make out this session is all about editorial analysis from the Hindu paper, and it deals with reading comprehension skill, vocabulary, grammar, along with these mini mocks, English mini mocks. And you can make out from the pic, it's all about COP30 conducted in Brazil. These are some of the images which provide the glimpse regarding the summit, regarding the event, where it was held, Amazon, near Amazon forest, and the delegates and all. You can see any climate-related summit or conference, you come across some sort of protests, and these two pics talk about the protests. Protesting against the developed countries or the first world or the North Bloc, all these. Now, let us go to the editorial vocabulary. Vocabulary format as usual. And this is the enrichment. Today, we don't have a lot of words. The very first one, transgression. Transgression, part of speech. There are two meanings, easy meanings, advanced meaning. Transgression, part of speech, noun. What is the easy meaning? An act of breaking a rule, law, moral boundary. You break a rule, then it is called transgression. What is the advanced meaning of this? A violation of established norms or limits. Could be legal, moral, or environmental, from an intellectual's point of view. Usage in the passage, how has it been used in the editorial? Temperatures breached the 1.5 degrees Celsius territory, a transgression of the climate threshold. Going beyond the climate threshold, the peak. Coming to synonyms, violation, breach, infringement, important words, wrongdoing. Antonyms, compliance, obedience, observance. Collocations, moral transgression, legal transgression, climate transgression, minor or major transgression. Example, sentence. Crossing the ecological threshold is considered a serious transgression by climate scientists. Is considered, immediately you have to become alert. What is the reason? Certain verbs, after certain verbs, we should not use as. Considered as is not correct. And other important examples, call, name, choose. Consider, call, name, choose. After these verbs, we should not use as. That you have to recollect. Coming to the next one, apportion. We have got this for the first time. Have you heard of this any time? Though we have got misappropriation of funds, apportion we have got for the first time. As far as my knowledge goes, easy meaning, dividing or distributing something among people. Advanced meaning, assigning responsibility, roles or resources proportionately based on need or contribution. Simple meaning, dividing, separating, distributing. But distribution of what? Advanced meaning, roles, responsibility, resources, proportionately based on need or contribution. Any of these two dimensions. Coming to forms, apportion, verb, apportionment, noun, generally used as a noun. Usage in passage, how this word has been used in the editorial. apportioning responsibility and finance for climate action. Means what? Distributing and disbursing. You can also think of that word. Synonyms: allocate, distribute, assign, share out. Antonyms: withhold, hoard, collect. Hoard is an important word. You may ask me, sir, why? Hoard has two different meanings, but not the same form. As a verb, hoard, to store something illegally. In this context, that's what it means. Hoarding, keeping something illegally, storing something illegally. But when we use the form hoarding, it is a noun. It has a different connotation. It means advertisement board. When you go to the downtown, you see huge advertisement boards. They are known as hoardings. British English. American English, we use the word billboard. Billboard, hoarding, both mean the same. Yes, Pavani, very good. I appreciate that. Collocations: apportion blame, apportion funds, fair apportioning, apportion responsibilities. Example sentence: the committee is responsible for apportioning the budget among various departments. Obviously, they have to apportion the budget among various departments. Distribute, assign, allocate. Burnish. We all know the word furnish, but what is the first letter here? B. And burnish. Burnish meaning easy to polish or something until it shines. Advanced meaning to improve, enhance, or strengthen, especially reputation, image, and skills. Someone's image or reputation is enhanced, then we use the word burnish. When it comes to the word image, you have to recollect one important idiomatic expression. What is that? Sometimes what happens, a person has a lot of reputation, has a very good image, but because of some scandal, because of some incident, he may lose his reputation, his image may get spoiled. Then we say his image has taken a beating. Take beating. His image has taken a beating means he has lost his reputation. Coming to forms, burnish, it's a regular verb and can be used as an adjective, past participle form, burnishing noun. Usage in editorial or passage: finance pledges to help countries burnish climate defenses. Means enhance or improve climate defenses. They need money. Synonyms: polish, enhance, strengthen, refine, improve. Antonyms: dull, spoil, weaken, tarnish. As I said, someone's image takes a beating. You can also use the word his image has been tarnished, means spoiled. Collocations: burnish reputation, burnish credentials, defenses, image. Example: the government is working to burnish its image ahead of the summit, trying to enhance its image. Voluble. I think this word also we have got for the first time. Does it sound familiar? Please respond. Easy meaning talking a lot, very talkative. Advanced meaning characterized by a continuous, rapid flow of speech, overly expressive. It has a slightly negative connotation. And when someone speaks a lot fluently on any topic, anywhere, with anyone, we use the idiom gift of the gab. Usually teachers, politicians, leaders, trainers, they should have this gift of the gab. Gift of the gab means what? Yes, that's right. Very good. Who is this? Anok Kumar. Anok Kumar. Garrulous. Here, gift of the gab, but that is a positive thing. Volubility, volubly. In the editorial, climate denialism seems more voluble and visible. Deny, to say no, one meaning. Refuse, usually to say no. Synonyms: talkative, loquacious, loquy related to speech. And somniloquist means what? A person who speaks in his sleep. Somnambulist, a person who walks in his sleep. Somniloquist, one who speaks in his sleep. Garrulous, see it is here, chatty. What are the opposite antonyms? Quiet, reserved, taciturn. You can also think of the word reticent. I'm sure many of you know the word reticent. Collocations: voluble speaker, voluble criticism. Protesters become more voluble. Example sentence, he became voluble when discussing politics. When you see the word discussing, again you got to be alert. After certain verbs, we should not use prepositions. A common error, a lot of people say, discuss about. We are discussing about, very good, eloquent speaker, Sangeeta, that's right. Some people say we are discussing about movies. Is that right or wrong? After discuss, you should not use a preposition about. We are discussing politics. We are discussing movies. And after gaudy has a different connotation. That goes more with appearance. Gaudily dressed, two bright colors. Olden days heroes, yellow shirt, red trousers, blue shoes. That then we say gaudy. To some extent, too loud, not acceptable, not stylish or sophisticated. Coming to discussing, discuss about wrong. Order for. He has ordered for tea, wrong. He has ordered tea. They have informed to the students, wrong. They have informed the students. All these you have to recollect. Now let us go to, the last one is very important, cataclysm. Have you heard of this any time? Very important word, part of speech, noun, meaning easy, a huge disaster or violent event. Advanced meaning, a large-scale upheaval causing massive destruction, disruption, or irreversible change. Upheaval goes with nature, it goes with people. When a lot of people revolt, then we use the word upheaval. When nature makes a large-scale impact, we use upheaval. When nature wreaks havoc, we can use upheaval. Forms cataclysmic, cataclysmically, adverbial form. In the context, humanity's only opportunity to mitigate a cataclysm, mitigate, assuage, alleviate, reduce the impact of its own making. Synonyms, disaster, catastrophe, upheaval, calamity. We have got many a time. Antonyms, blessing, boon, salvation. Boon or bane. When it comes to debates, they give a topic and they ask the participants, take a particular stand, boon or bane. Those who say boon, they have to talk about the advantages or pros. Those who say bane, they have to talk about the disadvantages or the cons, pros and cons, boon and bane. Salvation has a religious context, connotation, goes more with religion. Collocations, environmental cataclysm, economic, impending cataclysm. Impend means what? Impending means likely to happen. Impede means to block. And inevitable, impending, these words you have to recollect. Cataclysmic event. Example sentence, unchecked global warming could trigger an environmental cataclysm. Obviously, that goes without saying. That's all about the vocabulary. Some important words are there. Now let us see how I'm going to present the editorial analysis. At the outset, I said it is going to be imminent. Yes, very good, Naidu. It is going to be different. How it is going to be different, you will experience. Fighting the fire on COP30 or COP30, but that is not important. From here, there's the first sentence. COP30 sought to change the narrative by stressing on implementation. Seek, sought, grammar point of view, vocab point of view, first we'll see, then we'll go to the meaning, what exactly the writer wanted to convey. Narrative, story, fable, tale, narrative, all these you have to recollect. By stressing on implementation. Now have a look at this. What does it convey? Conveys the main idea. What is the main idea? COP30's key theme, implementation. And what is the tone? Assertive and summarizing. The main idea is like summary also. It talks about all the talks are over. Now it is time to implement whatever one has said. It is like walking the talk, walk the talk. Implicit information, past COPs focus more on promises, now shift to action. What is implied here? Now you are telling we are going to focus on implementation. That means in the past you did not focus. That is implied. In the past, the focus was on promises, the talk. Now the focus is on implementation. This is how you have to look at it. The 30th edition of the Conference of Parties, you got the answer here. Who is that? Srinu. COP means Conference of Parties, COP, acronym COP, the letters. The 30th edition, that's why it is called COP 30, COP 30. Conference of Parties concluded in Belém, Brazil, a city chosen for its proximity to the Amazon rainforest. You all know Amazon rainforest. It is a home for exotic species. What is the meaning of exotic? Two different meanings. One meaning unique, and another meaning foreign locations. We say exotic locations or exotic locales. But generally, when we talk about Amazon forest is a home for exotic flora and fauna. You see unique plants, unique animals only there. That way it is very popular and it is like a paradise. And we do have over there birds of paradise. I don't know how many of you know. And where is this Amazon forest? It is in the South American continent or Latin American continent. And it is spread across, but major chunk in Brazil. It is there in other countries also, not to a great extent, known as lungs of earth. Very good. Who is that? Sangeeta again. Wonderful. And when you see the word proximity, you have to think of a common error. What is that common error? A lot of people say close proximity. Proximity means closeness. Then we cannot say close proximity. That's a common error, comes under redundancy. Now, what does this sentence convey? Background info, where COP30 was held and why? It answers two pertinent questions. Where was it held? Why was it held? Implicit information, symbolic choice highlighting environmental priority. Why Brazil? Why Belém? Symbolic choice because it is very close to the Amazon rainforest. And tone is informative. Writer is providing us information about COP, Conference of Parties, where it was held, when it was held. Simple information. No personal opinion over there. Next sentence says the symbolism was high this year. Simple sentence. The symbolism was high this year. What does it mean? What does it convey? It is a sub-idea. The venue and moment carried symbolic weight. The venue, Belém, Brazil, or Amazon rainforest, the venue and the moment carried symbolic weight. That means focusing on implementation. Tone, reflective. All these days they must have felt, all these days we have talked about promises. Now time has come to work on implementation. When does it happen? Reflective nature. Here reflective means what? Introspection, contemplation, deep thinking. Then you take a decision, you try to change your stand from promises to implementation. Implicit expectations were higher than usual. Was high this year. Obviously, what does it mean? Expectations were high. Coming to the next sentence, it is 10 years since. You may ask, sir, why is this in red? There is a reason behind. I always tell students, whenever you see since or for, you have to think of two tenses, present perfect or present perfect continuous. And the clause that carries the word since is usually in past, either a word in past, since yesterday, or a phrase in past, since my childhood, or a clause in past, ever since she got married. But here, surprisingly, and the other clause, main clause should be in present perfect tense. Surprisingly, it is here in present tense. This is not correct. I would rather say, had I been the writer of this editorial, I would have used, it has been 10 years since the Paris Agreement was signed. Since the Paris Agreement was signed, that is in past, passive voice, nothing wrong with that. This clause has to be in past. It is in past, indeed. It is in past, it has to be in past. But the main clause should be in present perfect. The writer has used present tense. That is not correct. It has been 10 years since the Paris Agreement was signed by 195 countries, a pact to ensure that the globe did not heat up beyond 2 degrees Celsius of pre-industrial times and as far as possible contain it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. There's an important word, contain. It has two different meanings. Imagine someone is carrying a box. We ask, what does it contain? Means what is inside the box? That is a typical meaning, a literal meaning. Many of you know. But here contain means to restrict. What is the other meaning of contain? To restrict. Contain here means restrict. That is very important. What does a sentence convey? It provides a background information. How many years are over? 10 years. It provides a background information. Paris Agreement's timeline and goals, and also explicit temperature limits. Clearly mentioned 2 degrees, but they wanted to contain it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And tone, informative, historical. Historical perspective the writer is providing, and also providing the information at the same time. Coming to the next sentence, that was a goal easier stated than done. An important expression. Some goals are easy, some goals are difficult. And when some goals are difficult, we say it is easier said than done. Means it's an uphill task, not easy to achieve. It was a goal easier stated than done. Easy to say, difficult to implement. 2024 ended up being the first time that temperatures breached the 1.5 degrees Celsius territory, though it will require several more such transgressions for 1.5 degrees Celsius to be the new normal. For the first time, it seems, though they wanted to contain at 1.5 degrees Celsius, it has breached. Many of our students know the meaning of the word Herculean task, Naidu, very good. Breach, two meanings. One, there's a crack here, the wall or any concrete structure. We use the word breach. But in this context, what is the meaning of the word breach? Violating a contract, rules, agreement, breach. Here, some sort of agreement, 1.5 degrees Celsius, that has been breached. And it may take several more years of such breaches or transgressions to make it a normal thing, to make 1.5 degrees Celsius to be the new normal. What does the sentence convey? Inference. Targets are hard to achieve. The crisis is worsening. What is the inference here? Targets are not easy. It is easy to come up with a target, with a goal. But achieving the goal is not that easy. Only a few can. And some goals are uphill tasks, not at all easy. Targets are hard to achieve. The crisis is worsening. One thing, targets are difficult. Another problem here, the situation is worsening. Something goes from bad to worse. What are the words you have to think of? Exacerbate, that is an important word. And situation is worsening, from bad to worse. Warning tone, slightly cautionary, because if this continues, it may become the new normal. There the writer wants to convey a word of caution and indirectly telling the world has to be careful at this juncture. Implicit, the world is failing to meet Paris goals. What is being conveyed? Paris goals are not able to meet. That's what the sentence talks about. Coming to the next sentence. In all the years since COPs have been about systematically getting all countries to move on the path of restructuring their economies away from their fossil fuel hard wiring, apportioning responsibility, distributing responsibility, and finance in ways to actualize these goals and finally work towards addressing the damage that climate change had already done to societies, livelihoods, and ecologies. A lengthy sentence. In a nutshell, what does it say? All these years, the countries the stakeholders, different countries around the world, they have been trying to do something. What have they been trying to do? They have been trying to restructure. Restructure from which perspective, from which angle? From fossil fuels point of view to not depending on fossil fuels, from fossil fuels to renewable sources of energy. But I always tell students, today the goals are clear. What are the goals? Stop using fossil fuels, start using renewable sources of energy. But the question, a pertinent question, who has the money, who has the technology? Because today the world, we talk about the first world and the third world. The first world, industrially developed, rich countries. The third world, developing, not so rich countries. And obviously, when you expect this transition from fossil fuels to renewable sources of energy, you need some sort of helping hand. You expect the rich countries should provide the finance to the developing countries, and they have to transfer the technology know-how to the developing countries. When the rich countries or the global north, they do that, the global south will be able to transform from fossil fuels to renewable sources of energy. But that is not happening. That is a problem. Let us see what it conveys. I've said the same thing in a nutshell, in brief. Conveys main idea, what COPs have aimed to do since Paris. Since Paris Agreement, what have they been trying to do, or what have they done? Three sub-ideas here. One, move away from fossil fuels, I've just mentioned. Two, share responsibility and finances. And third one, address climate damage. Second one is very important. We have, that is a bottleneck, that is the impediment. Share what? Responsibility and finances. Here responsibility, because they are the people. Industrial revolution took place in the West. In a way, they are responsible for the pollution. They owe something to the developing countries. And also, it is not possible for the entire world to change if these developed countries don't contribute in terms of finance, funds, and in terms of technology know-how. Tone analytical, completely analytical, the present scenario being analyzed. While there has been success in that most countries, even the United States, recognize that renewables are the future of energy, it has been challenging for countries to execute the transformation while also growing their economies and keeping their competitive edges sharp. This is what I've just said. It is easy to say transform, stop using fossil fuels, transform from fossil fuels to renewable sources of energy. Easy to say, difficult to implement. The sentence talks about balanced view, acknowledges success plus challenges. Implicit, economic growth conflicts with climate action. Tone, realistic, nuanced. Nuance means subtle, in a subtle way you try to convey something. And this talks about, everyone has realized, all the countries have realized, time has come to shift to renewable sources of energy. While there has been success in that most countries, even the US recognize that renewables are the future of energy. At the same time, certain challenges for third world countries especially, in terms of, one, funds, two, technology know-how, third, they should not come in conflict with their own economies. That is also their own growth and development. That is also equally important. This has led to the formation of the two broad blocks. Because of this, there are two blocks. What are those two blocks? One led by developed countries and affiliated allies that has pushed for hard targets and roadmaps to phase out fossil fuels, one group, and the other by developing countries or petro-states who reject such prescription and demand more money and action from the developed countries. Simple, the global north, the global south. The developed countries or affluent countries and the developing countries or third world countries which are not so rich. And this is like polarized, developed, developing. And these are the limitations or challenges. Main idea, global divide in climate negotiations. Explicit, two blocks with opposing stances. Tone explanatory. Implicit negotiations are hindered by geopolitical tensions. Geopolitical tensions also equally important based on the relations between countries, among countries. That also matters a lot. Coming to the next one, the Brazil COP sought to bring a change in the narrative by stressing implementation and reminding the world that multilateralism and Mutirao, coming together, perhaps a Brazilian word, were indispensable to the Paris Agreement. Main idea is being reiterated, and coming together is very important to make something possible. And here we have an important word, indispensable. What does it mean? Indispensable means essential. You cannot do without that. The Brazil COP sought to bring a change in the narrative by stressing not promises, implementation, and reminding the world that multilateralism and Mutirao coming together were indispensable to the Paris Agreement, means essential. Conveys the main idea, Brazil's objective, cooperation plus implementation. What is the tone? Supportive, hopeful. Obviously, anyone will support that idea coming together. What is implied? Past COPs lacked adequate unity. Unity is also equally important. In the past, that was not there. Based on that, it talks about coming together. While the absence of the US weakened the developed country blocs, this year saw greater thrust on topics such as adaptation and just transition. Here, just means a perfect, proper transition. Concepts that acknowledge the everyday effects of climate change and stress practical preparatory steps and finance pledges to help countries burnish climate defenses, enhance or improve climate defenses. What is the sub-idea? US absence weakened some dynamics. Main idea, focus shifted to adaptation plus just transition. Explicit practical steps plus financing. Tone analytical. It talks about the solution, what has to be done. Obviously, it has to be analytical. India, which has been, now coming to the stand taken by India at the fag end of the editorial, India, which has been one of the prominent voices for developing country coalitions, was welcoming of the Brazil presidency's acknowledgement of concerns but did not declare it updated nationally determined contributions, actions on adopting clean energy. Supportive but not clearly stated, did not declare its updated nationally determined contributions, actions on adopting clean energy. In a way, supportive but not, the stand is not very clear. Main idea, India's stance. Explicit, India supported sentiments but withheld updated commitments. Commitments not clear but support quite obvious. Implicit, India is cautious in making promises because India has to focus on its own growth and development. It cannot make promises just like that. Neutral and factual. The last sentence, the COP's negotiation process often leaves one wondering about the net gains made. They all meet, but what is the bottom line? Important question, million-dollar question. What is the net gain? Given that pollution, deforestation, and climate denialism seem more voluble, means increasing, and visible, but as it is often said, this is humanity's only opportunity to mitigate, reduce a cataclysm of its making, a disaster of its making. It ends on that note. And here, what does it? Conclusion plus reflection. Questions effectiveness of this summit. Tone, concerned, slightly skeptical but hopeful. Implicit action is slow compared to the scale of crisis. They are not matching. Action and the scale not matching. Stand urges that the COP process is crucial despite its flaws. What is the inference? Human survival depends on sustained global cooperation and immediate action. That's all about this editorial. Please give the feedback after the session, how this presentation has been A regular presentation and this presentation, what is the difference? How you felt from learning point of view, comprehension point of view. Today again, I haven't brought the questions, but I'll tell you how they may ask questions. Key aspects tested in reading comprehension. Today I will tell you what is tested usually, and from tomorrow as usual I'll bring the questions. What is the main idea identification? They want you to identify the main idea. How do they test? What are the questions? What is the central theme of the passage? What is the author primarily trying to convey? Which sentence best captures the core argument? These are possible questions. Coming to the second one, tone and style of the author. Tone, what are the words? Critical, sarcastic, analytical, optimistic, pessimistic, neutral. And style, descriptive, narrative, expository, means explaining, and argumentative, persuasive. Different types of essays are there, and based on that we have these words. Next one, inference-based questions, high level. What can be logically concluded, though not stated directly? What is implied but not expressed clearly? Reading between the lines, what can you say? These are some of the areas they may touch. Next one, writer's viewpoint, stand, opinion. What is the author's stance on the subject? Which option aligns with the author's belief? Which statement contradicts the writer? Some of the questions based on the writer's views, stand. And the next area, detail-based questions. These are easy. Direct questions for explicit information. Direct questions asking for explicit information. According to the passage, which of the following is stated in the passage? Any question based on explicit information, anyone can answer. All that you have to do, take the key words in the passage, in the question, go to the passage, try to locate those key words, and wherever you see those key words, usually you find the answer over there. That's all today about this new approach, editorial analysis, and I will try to improve this one also, because SBI clerk, SBI junior assistant mains exam are tough, very tough, comprehension point of view, but two passages, very difficult to answer. So time has come, we should change the regular pattern and we should try to make it better. The end of the day, the thing is, improvisation is the name of the game. Thank you very much. But give your comments, try to respond after the session, give the feedback, that will help in the long run. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.